On the patch, I want to know, just specifically, just for the record, what the experience you have with managing or developing or presenting a public budget of $50 million or more.
I'm trying to go through this very quickly. I'm not distorting the fact. In fact, if you look at your tax bill, it's actually made up of 5 taxes: the county, the town, the schools, and then the open trust funds for both the town and the county. Okay? So there are actually 5 pieces. I'm not distorting any of the numbers. I'm running for town council, so I'm focused on the town council budget. Okay? I'm not focused on the schools. I'm not focused on the county. I'm focused on the town council budget. And these are the numbers that the state says that the town has raised our taxes by, that you can't find on the town website, but you can find on West Orange Grassroots. So I'm not distorting anything, and I am providing transparency. Where I provide transparency is when the town makes important decisions that they don't want you to know about. Please, go to West Orange Grassroots, read my posting on how we got our no tax increase this year, and watch the video. And then ask yourself, why are they telling us about the downside of all of this? All right? And when somebody claims credit for giving you a no tax increase this year, you really need to be able to say, yeah, but I just gave away, you guys gave away $1.5 million. All right? We're going to face budget revenue shortfalls of almost $3.5 million in the next 10 years. And on top of that, we cut a deal with the vendor that may cost us $2.6 million in revenue over the next 30 years. You're not going to find that out from the town and the town council. And that's why I want to be on the town council, so I can tell you about it. Fully transparent and
my question to Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, you had some campaign literature early on. I don't know if it's still in the recent campaign literature that talked about the downtown development becoming a place that would turn into a project for residents that were receiving subsidies. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Well, my literature said at first was that I believe that the downtown development should be what I call Destination West Orange. And what I'm foreseeing now, my vision is that there should be commercial and retail properties down there. We should actually capitalize on the Edison Museum and the Edison House to keep the people in town, to spend money in town. Right now what happens is that children go there, and adults go there, and then they have to go to either outside the town or get on to Lee, get on the Parkway or Turnpike to go somewhere else. I think we have to make Destination West Orange where people stay in town, spend the money. I do not support any housing down there. The only support that I support down there would be senior citizens housing.
All right, we're going to ask a question, then make a difference. And the question I have, or actually what I'd like each of you to do, is tell us one thing you admire about the candidate sitting next to you. I'm going to give them a few minutes to think about this.
It's easier for me. No, really. Ron Charles is a lifetime. I'm sorry, should I go first?
You're right ahead. It's easy, please, so go right ahead.
No, he's been a lifetime law enforcement officer. He has at times put his life and safety on the line, and you can do nothing but admire him for that. He's also been active in the community with the sports and with his 501c foundation. There's plenty to admire for Ron Charles. Dr. Webster, I salute you stepping forward into the community. Sorry, I don't mean to hesitate. I'm just trying to pick the right words. I admire you for stepping forward and offering yourself to the community in West Orange, and that's why we're all here tonight.
Okay. So we're going to ask Mr. Charles.
I'll first start on my left with Joe. I think Joe has an extensive knowledge on on financial matters. I wish I had the time to spend researching some of the things that he does. So I do think that he does extensive research and he does know the numbers. So that's what I do admire about him. Dr. Webster, I wish I played professional sports like Dr. Webster. My son grew up with professional sports.
I think I know about that.
Okay. Council question.
My turn.
Yes, your turn. Yes. You have time to think now.
Well, I think both of these gentlemen are very fine gentlemen, and each one has a significant attribute that, drives them to think that they would be well fitted for this opportunity. And I applaud their strengths, and I think that, there's no loser in this West Orange council seat race. I think, they're very fine gentlemen, and, they have a certain skill set that they believe that would suit the challenge. And I applaud them for having that feeling of positive self-esteem.
That's your question to answer the board.
I address both at the same time.
Okay, great. So, thank you. I want to give them each a chance to think about the questions, so it's not to, they knew it was coming. You just never know what the questions are going to be. So I want to applaud each of you for the statements you made here. At the end of the day, like I said, the community would want the best candidate, and this is your opportunity, the community, to see who that would be in your opinion. So moving forward, one of the things that was one of the hot topics of this past year was about the downtown development. And so a question here is by Cheryl Forbes, and the question is, what is your view on the development of Main Street area? And we'll start here with Dr. Webster.
Well, I think downtown development is paramount to the success and sustainability of the quality of life that we enjoy here in West Orange. There's a wonderful opportunity to bring in additional revenues to the town. I see an opportunity here for us to possibly bring in an economic retail development project like the Church Street in Montclair. We need a Church Street here in West Orange, one that will bring in stores and restaurants and allow families to walk down Church Street and have outdoor eating and just feel wholesome and healthy in our community. So I'd like to see something like that happen. I'm also I also had the experience of working in worked in an organization that had the responsibility to develop a whole downtown area. As I mentioned earlier, in Jersey City, I set up the Urban Development Corporation as a freeholder, and we had a $100 million UDAT grant that developed all of downtown Jersey City into what they call the Gold Coast today. So I say in closing that once again, experience in those type of areas makes a big difference, and that's where I went out.
Thank you. Mr. Kroger?
As a lot of you know, and I try to make clear, downtown Main Street redevelopment was where I really became heavily involved in town. I was one of the first people to point out that the former mayor was trying to force us to guarantee $50 million of bonds to finance that development down there. I also wrote about there's a 3-decade tax abatement on school taxes. All of you who treasure our schools need to understand that the approvals in place, 3-decade tax abatement on school taxes. I think that project is the most important single aspect of the next 20 or 30 years of our town. We have to get it right. And I would prefer a much heavier commercial aspect to the development, trying to leverage the Edison name, try to bring in people who spend the day here, spend their money here, and then go home, as opposed to 620 condos where we're going to put a much heavier tax on the services here in town. But we also need to recognize that, as far as we know, the redeveloper has all the approvals in place. The only thing holding it up is that they can't find sufficient financing. But there's a key element here, which is transparency. We don't know what's going on down there. And one of the things I'm going to do getting on council is I'm going to open this all up and find out exactly what's going on and be sure that they comply with the regulations and our approvals, because if they don't, we can reopen this and take another look at what would be appropriate in this environment, which has changed drastically since those approvals were made, given several years ago.
And as Dr. Webster asked me before, it was a piece on my first literature that was put out. I believe that we should transform that area to what I'm calling Destination West Orange, a place where the young and old can shop, spend quality time, affordable time together. With some attractions in town like the zoo, the arena golf now, the arena, now the new boathouse soon to open. I think that people will be coming into West Orange in droves. I think we need to keep them here in town, spending money on our local restaurants, our local shops, and I like to see West Orange become truly Destination West Orange.
One of the questions came from the Negative group is this. Would you support a law prohibiting pay-to-play in West Orange? If so, how and when? And we'll start off with Mr. Charles.
If I'm elected on November 2nd, I will support a law immediately. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
As probably a lot of you know, there are state regulations against pay-to-play, and we also have policies here in town against pay-to-play. It's a real problem with trying to close all the loopholes, but I tell you, there are tons of loopholes both the state law and the local regulations. And here's what I say. I say nothing forces you to take a single penny from anybody. So if it doesn't pass the smell test, it's not going into my treasury, and I wish it would go to anybody else's treasury. Anybody that does business with governments, not just here, but anywhere nearby here, needs to be, those contributions need to be evaluated and perhaps thrown out. But nothing stands in the place of your own moral perspective of whether it passes the smell test. And a lot of times it doesn't.
This goes back to one of the issues that came, many of you spoke about earlier, and it was transparency. And this comes from Merrill Clemson, and it states here, if elected, what will you do to involve and report to the residents about their taxes? And we'll start off here with Mr. Koga.
Hello, I'm Mr. Transparency. Have I mentioned that enough tonight? One of the main reasons I want to get on the council is to provide additional transparency so you guys know more about the important decisions that our council and administrators are making, so that you can tell the elected officials whether you like it or not. Right now, if you don't know what's going on, you can't tell them. And that's one of the main reasons I started Grassroots. It's one of the main reasons I'm spending a huge amount of time trying to increase transparency. When I'm on the council, I want to increase the transparency. Right now, the town makes me file Open Public Records Act requests for just about any piece of paper I want. I get up to the podium sometimes and try to talk. Two meetings ago, they stopped me from talking. I wanted to talk about tax appeals because, as I mentioned before, our tax base is melting away and we're not doing anything about it. On the council, I want to improve transparency. When I'm up here, it's going to be a lot harder to get me to stop talking. I know sometimes I wish I would stop talking. But it'll also be difficult to keep documents from me. And believe me, I want to dig into this and I want to provide this information to you so that you guys can help run your government.
Dr. Webster, Councilman Webster.
Yes. For me, my whole public life, professional career, has been about community engagement. I'm very pro-community engagement. The council seat is an opportunity to serve the community, to lead at the same time. But for me, the task is finding out what exactly are you looking for? What is it the community wants? It's not what Dr. Webster wants, but it's what the community wants. And I've already started along that line. trying to get the community engaged, finding out what is it, what are the feelings, what are the concerns of the community.